Hello Space Cat, I'm Jules, an illustrator living on an island off the south coast of England. I spend my mornings in my cosy studio and the afternoons baking sourdough and hanging out with my furry friends. I am back in the studio on a very dark and blustery day today, so I'm definitely going to need to get my photographic lights out so that you and I can see what I'm actually going to be doing, which this week is a live project. I've got to do the front cover illustration for the printed programme for the Isle of Wight Story Festival, which will be happening in February. I'm going to use my trusty old method of the Tombow Food and Asuka hard-tipped brush pen, hard to remember all those things, and my Inktense pencils and also my watercolour. The theme for this year is a cute, quaint, old sort of 17th century village that's each shop is representing something that happens at the festival, whether it's music or whether it's storytelling or authors coming or whether it's the theatre or going and getting a cup of coffee in the lovely cafe there. So if you're ready, shall we dive in? This is the drawing that I did a couple of days ago, so it's very, very thoroughly dried now. I did it straight onto the paper with my light box underneath, so I haven't got any pencil marks to rub out, which is great. I think the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to colour in most of the outer bit of the, I want to say lath and plaster, but I don't think it is because that's inside, isn't it? But the outer layer of the buildings, and it's all going to be roughly the same colour. So I've got saddle brown and I've got the antique white, which I'm going to kind of mix and match a bit because I don't want them to be absolutely identical. Some clean water and a paintbrush. Let's zoom in so you can see it properly. Now you and I are doing this together. I don't know what this is going to look like either, so let's give it a go. And this really is just a bit of a test run to see if it's I'm kind of going for a beigey, creamy sort of colour because the beams are going to be dark. It's all very sort of Tudor looking buildings, so with all these beams around the edges, I think that's alright. I am also jammed up against the window, the door in my studio, and people frequently walk past about 1.5 feet away from where I'm sitting, and now my curtains are open so that I've got enough light coming in. They're going to be probably looking in at me and going, or words to that effect. Right, I'm happy with that, so I'm going to move on and do the other buildings, and then you can listen to some music and I'll be right back with you. Oh good, now they're drilling upstairs. That's great for the vibe. Okay, so what I've done is I've filled in all of the areas of the buildings that I need to do, the outsidey bits. I haven't done any roofs, but I have done the beams. So let's see what this all looks like now. And again, this is just a test piece. I'm going to actually sort of water it down and activate the Inktense when I've finished. I just want to see what it looks like, see if we're getting the right vibe so far. And I think so far so good. Okay, I'm going to leave that. I'm going to move on to I need to do the church first, and then I'm going to move on to doing some roofs. There is contention over the word roofs, whether it is now obsolete and we only use roofs, and that would be with an F and not a V. What do you think? I like roofs. I was brought up on roofs. I'm sticking with it. I've got a range of oranges and yellows to do the roofs in. So I've got sienna gold, amber, tangerine, mid vermilion and burnt orange. So let's get cracking with those and see what we come up with. This is dark chocolate, and I'm going to do all of the windowsills and window frames in this. This is quite, it's not the darkest I've got. There's another one called Bark that is even darker brown before you get into the blacks, but I think this will do the job really nicely. It sort of shows up against those beams. These have just got windowsill and the bit over the top. This one's the puppet shop. This one's tales, so that's sort of storytelling. This one's the music shop. Oh, I forgot to do that bit. So this has actually, it's a bit like a bookshop as well. It has actually got some books in the window, but that's where all the storytelling goes on. This next one is the theatre. This one's the, oh, there's a little cafe just here, tucked around the back. And then, actually I think I'm going to do the door in that brown as well, because I'm not going to use this for the other doors. They're all going to be brightly coloured, but I think that, just to tie that in a little bit with the rest of the windows. This one is the bookshop, and this bookshop has actually got two sides to it, because I would say the majority of what the Story Festival is about is to do with books, not just books, but we have a lot of authors, poets, and people that have written non-fiction books, people who are working in ecology, or they're producing little workshops for children to do. That's another book-based thing that could be done. And then last, but very much not least, is the arts and crafts shop. So this one, we have those workshops that I just mentioned, and there's always something for the kids to do, which is a lot of fun. Okay, so I need to do the chimneys, and then I need to do the doors, so let's crack on with that next. There's a range of bright colours. We've got hooker's green, scarlet pink, iron green, dark aquamarine and Sicilian yellow. And in no particular order, randomly picked, except I am going to make sure the greens are spaced out. So that's the iron green. I'm probably going to put the other green at the other end. Oops. Let's stick this is the hooker's green. Let's stick that over there. That leaves us with the dark aquamarine, which I'm going to put here. And the scarlet, which is going to be on the theatre. Okay, so I'm now going to fill in the windows. I'm going to get a grey or a dark colour and just fill in all those windows. Leaf green, and that's just going to colour in this bush that's behind these buildings. I do kind of need a border cut-off point for this picture. It can't be a vignette that just fades into nothing. because of the constraints of the rest of the front cover. So that's quite good that it ends there, but what I need to do with this is I will have to sort of fade this out a little bit. So let's choose, I'm going to choose another green and then a grey for the path and do those, and then we can get onto the characters. Okay, so I've got sepia actually, so it's kind of browny grey, but I'm going to use it very lightly and sparingly. But where this chicken is in the foreground, I'm going to be quite careful about going around this little chickeny person. And the green is apple green, so that's going to be super duper bright. So again, quite sparingly. And I've also got some little plant pots, and they could do with a bit of greenery in them as well. Bit of green there. And there's another one just there. And then I think that could do with some pink. Let's pick, okay, I've picked up a random one, it's chili red. So that's going to be, these are going to be poppies. Where else needs a bit of colour? Let's do a little bit in there. And I've just noticed another little green area that I need to do just there. Okay, so now we're on to characters. Actually, what I will do first is just do this flag. So with that chili red, just gonna colour that flag in. It's going to stand out nicely against the grey of the roof, the slate roof underneath. Okay. And if you haven't used or seen Inktense pencils in action before, you might be thinking, well, this is alright, I suppose, nothing really special. You just wait until we put water on it. It's going to be amazing. We've got, go back to sienna gold and mid vermilion for our chicken personage. We'll start with the sienna. We did actually keep chickens when our children were little. We rescued them. They were ex-battery hens, and we rescued them, and they were lovely. I really, really loved my chickens. Got the tangerine, so tangerine's going to go up here for that bit, and I think I'm going to also use it on the tail. There's actually 3 colours on the tail now. That's okay, that's cool. And then back to the vermilion for his legs, and then I think I'll probably do the feet in sienna gold. Cool. Oh, his beak, her beak, their beak. Tangerine. I'm going to leave a little white mark down the middle to show that there's a bit of shininess. Okay, so let's look at the other chickens. Seeing as I've got chicken colour out, I think I'll go with the mid vermilion for the rest of them because they don't need to stand out particularly. These are like baby chicken. Let's give them a bit more sienna. This one's just been to the bookshop. These two are on their way into town and they're going to go and buy some things. They're having a natter. Now I need a dog colour, so I've picked up Baked Earth. I figured he looks like a baked earth kind of dog. And I'm going to leave him with kind of white patches on him. And he's just been and bought a big book. See by the size, it's nearly as big as he is. And whilst I've got that colour in my hand, I'm going to do this lady's skirt. Might do this chap's trousers as well, and then I'll pick up another colour and do the rest. Then for the two books that I've got here, I've picked up Cherry Red or Cherry Pink and Deep Violet. Which way round to do it? I think I'm going to give him the violet, which looks really dark until you put some paint on, so some water onto it, and activate that colour. And then we're going to give you, my chicken friend, the red one. Just a little tip on if you want to draw books, somebody reading a book. So the cover, you need an outside line and then a curve downwards. And then, so you've got like an open V, but that curve is going downwards. And then if you're drawing pages, you're following the same lines parallel to the straight ones, but this curve goes upwards towards your character. And then that makes it look like you've got a book open. Okay, I think we're ready for some water fun. I'm actually going to start with the grass, see how that goes. I've got a very big brush laden with water, and I'm going to make sure that I don't go over my little pavements at the moment, because I don't want that to all smudge. So around these edges here, I'm just going to be loose, for want of a better word, with my brush strokes. Okay, I'm going to swap to a smaller brush, rinse that brush off, swap back to that smaller one that I used to start with, and I think what I'll do is I'll do every other roof so that they have a chance to dry in between. And this one is kind of made of straw, so I'm not going to do a sort of block colour, I'm going to dab at it, crisscrossed. I'm going to go over to the church, and I need to be a bit careful with this because I've got those brick marks. I don't want to lose that, so I'm kind of going around them. I'm dabbing at it again, kind of going around them a little bit so they can catch a little bit of that water, but I'm not going to ruin that textured look. Cool. And now I'm going to go to this one. So I'm going to do the chimney first actually here. See how that came out. That's pretty good. This is very bright, this one. And because I did a couple of different colours there, again I'm dabbing at it, because if I was to bring my brush down the whole thing, it would just smudge into one colour, and I really don't want to do that. Next one over is this one, and I am going to go back and work into this one again because it needs a bit more texture. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get my Artist Studio hairdryer out and give it a little bit of a dry so we don't get any smudging issues. This one's still a bit damp. Whilst it's still damp, I'm going to use Saddle Brown. So it actually activates as I'm drawing with it. And you can see the difference between a dry area like that and a wetter, a damper area. And this just gives it a little bit more texture. Actually, it's drier than I thought it was going to be, so I might actually have to wet that again. Okay, bit of texture, that's cool. And I'm going to do the other, work my way back the other way to complete the roofs. You see what I mean about the colour really coming to life as soon as you get that water on. It becomes really vibrant. I love these pencils. Just going to be a little bit careful around where it says puppet shop, because I don't want to cover that book shop name up. Okay, so whilst that's all drying, actually I will just do, because I didn't do the church, did I? Let's do that. But whilst this is drying, I'm going to work on some of the characters. Let's start with our main one. I've made this pair of glasses this chicken's wearing, and you know that funny thing when if you look at somebody who's wearing very thick glasses, their face doesn't kind of match what you expect it to be, so that's why that's at a jaunty angle. And that yellow really does come to life once you put the water onto it. That's the Sicilian. Let that dry for a moment whilst we just give these guys a little wetting. Onto the doors. This one's the iron green, and this one is, I think it was leaf green, was it? You've got the blue and that scarlet. And of course this cafe door as well, which is quite dark. And you hear the drilling. Yep. I think I could probably do the windows now too. Let's do the windows. This is just going to be, again, quite sort of blobby and patchy and loose. I'll just go over where the light is first so I don't muddy that. Having your windows completely black or dark just gives it a bit of a lonely, empty feel to it, so that's why I've dark in the upper bits and then some light in the windows of some of the other ones. just about dry enough to be able to do the flag. I think that really does come to life, doesn't it? Look at the difference. I'm going back in with that bigger brush and I'm just going to give the pavement a little bit of treatment. Doesn't need to go right up to our character. I don't mind some of those little saucy little lines. Gives a nice flavour of the background that they're walking through. There's just a couple of other things I need to do to this, so whilst I'm doing that you can listen to some music and I will do the little fiddly bits. Well, what a difference a day makes. So I've woken up this morning, it's beautiful outside, really calm. However, there is a storm brewing, so I want to get this done and up on my computer before I have to go and hunker down. We've got a pretty big storm coming over starting at the end of today. I just wanted to finish this. There's a few little things that I wanted to add, little details. So for that I've got the ink black, focus please, ink black, and at the moment it's not, am I going to focus on my pencil? Come on, you can do it. Come on camera, you can do it. It's not very sharp, so I'm going to sharpen it because it needs to be super duper sharp, and I've got my new rather whizzy electric pencil sharpener. I've never had an electric one before, so I'm basically sharpening everything at the moment. Nice! I really want to work on the beams and make them look very woody. And I'm not going to put any water on this. Oh, it's soft. So I'm really just using this as a normal colouring pencil. In fact, if it's too soft I might actually end up doing that. I think this is now complete with all the details, and I've particularly concentrated on those wooden beams so that it looks a bit older. And now I'm going to scan it into my computer and fiddle about with it on Photoshop to get it in the right place. All I need to do now is hope that it gets signed off for printing on the front cover of the programme, and we're good to go. I'm off to have chips with the chipmunk. I will see you next week. Nano nano.